First of all, we have this screenshot about how to get here and how to find your handout. I ask that people have their handouts ready, and you can look all the information up later, but you can Google some of those prefixes and suffixes and combining forms while we are on the call. Okay, everything good? Everybody can still hear me? All right. So, the name of our webinar is It's All Greek to Me, Et Tu, Brute? Which means, you know, we have that pun, it's all Greek to me, meaning we don't understand a thing about what's going on. Or we could say it is all Greek to me because that's where our language came from. Et tu, Brute is bringing in the Latin part of language. This is Julius Caesar being attacked in the Roman Forum, where he was set upon by his best friend, Brutus. And Et tu, Brute means, and you, Brutus, you are also against me. Where does language come from? Ancient Greece formed the foundation of much of Western culture today. Everything from government, philosophy, science, art, literature, and sports was impacted by the ancient Greeks. It was as if there was a little cell and it ran around and then started forming other cells. Man had no concept of time or the universe, and the Greeks were one of the first civilizations to bring these things about. They studied medicine as a scientific way to cure illnesses and disease. Their doctors studied sick people, observed their symptoms, and then came up with practical treatments. Most of the words we use every day, English speakers that is, come from Greek or Latin origins. We're going to apply that to medical terminology. If you have any questions while we're going along, just put them in the chat box. I started this and I thought, oh, Socrates, he was the very first famous philosopher. But the more you research, the more you learn new things. There was actually a philosopher before Socrates, and his name was Thales of Miletus, which made me think of diabetes mellitus, type 2, but I really couldn't find any reference to that at the moment. This man, I need to scooch this over, excuse me. This man lived between 640 and 610 until 548 and 545 BC. He was a pre-Socratic Greek philosopher, which means he came before Socrates. He was also a mathematician and an astronomer from this town, Miletus, in Asia Minor. He's remembered primarily for his study based on water as the essence of all matter. He was also considered by some as the first mathematician. And you know about water and life and biology, and we do believe that most life starts in water. Other philosophers that we have heard of, Socrates for one, was a Greek philosopher and the main source of Western thought. He was born around 470 BC in Athens, Greece. His Socratic method laid the groundwork for Western systems of logic and philosophy. When the political climate of Greece turned, Socrates was sentenced to death by hemlock poisoning in 399 BC. You've probably heard of that. Now, you will be seeing BC, BCE, and AD, these abbreviations, acronyms throughout the slides. And as you can see, BCE means before the Common Era, and BC means before Christ. They both basically mean the same time. AD means Anno Domini, in the year of the Lord. So anything AD is after Christ was born. And how they figured all of this out, leave it up to the mathematicians and the scientists. Greek philosophers planted the seeds of thought encompassing all walks of life in ancient times. Plato, he was a philosopher student of Socrates and teacher of Aristotle. He was born in 428 BCE, around 428 BCE. His interests were the philosophy of language. Here we go. He founded the Academy in Athens. It was one of the first institutions of higher learning. The curriculum included astronomy, biology, mathematics, political theory, and philosophy. Plato died in Athens around 348 BCE. Aristotle was Plato's student and a philosopher as well. With Socrates and Plato, he laid much of the groundwork for Western philosophy. He was born in 384 BC in Greece, Stagira. He began tutoring Alexander the Great, and in 335 founded his own school, the Lyceum in Athens. He died in 322 BC after he left Athens and fled to Chalcis. The Acropolis is an example of Greek terminology, prefixes, and suffixes. An acropolis is a citadel or fortified part of an ancient Greek city, typically built on a hill. The famous ancient ruin, the Acropolis, gets its name from the following: acro, which is Greek for high or extreme or edge, and polis for city. You know, we've got Annapolis, Indianapolis. When you put these together, it translates to high city, city on the edge, or city in the air. The Parthenon is among other ancient ruins at the site of the Acropolis in Athens. This was built in the 5th century BCE. Interesting facts about the science and technology of ancient Greece include mathematics, coming from the Greek word mathema, which means subject of instruction. Hippocrates, we know about him. We've heard of the Hippocratic Oath. He is often called the father of Western medicine. Biology comes from the Greek words bios, meaning life, and logia, meaning study of. I'm sure you can think of some words that end in logia, or as we would use, logi, theology. Jerry says the Latin word miletus, meaning honeyed or sweet. Well, thank you. So I just wonder if there was a lot of milk and honey on that in the town where Thales was born. Who knows? Good. Thanks for letting me know. The Greeks also made contributions to map making or cartography. Because they were thought of as second-class citizens or less, women were often separated from men. Seriously, the men hung out together, the men hung out in the courtyard, the men did everything, the men got to go to school, not the women. So a lot of houses would have a separate room set aside for women called a gynekon, from the Greek gyne, woman, and you know what else comes from that? Gynecology and so on. Affixes and combining forms used in medical terminology. Prefixes and suffixes are both kinds of affixes. You think that you're affixing something, you know, I'm going to affix that picture to the wall, excuse me. That is, they are word parts that attach to the beginning or end of a word or word base to produce a related word or an inflectional form of a word. Examples are in informal, and whenever you see a word written with a dash after it, like in dash, that means it's a prefix. And both re and the suffix ing in reporting. And you can see how the dash is before ing, that means it's a suffix. Both prefixes and suffixes are affixes. A combining form is a form of a word that only appears as part of another word. For example, wise in clockwise is a combining form. Like in bird-like is a combining form. Graph in photograph is a combining form. And lyse in electrolyze is one as well. Some Greek and Roman affixes and combining forms are below. Phago is Greek for to eat. So can you think of any words off the top of your head that contain phago? If you do, you can type it in the chat box. Or if you think of one, phagocytosis. Very good, Bonita. Thank you. Phagocyte. Very good, Michelle. And we're going to revisit that word because it's going to be on the next screen. So what does that mean? What would you say phagocyte means? Anybody? Well, if we look down there to cyte, it means hollow as a cell or container. So if we have a phagocyte, I think it's a cell that eats things. Leuco means white. Leukocytes are white blood cells that eat bacteria or an infection. Phobia is Greek from phobos, which means fear, panic, terror, or an outward show of fear. And if you can name a noun, there probably is a phobia for it. There's a fear of colors, a fear of ghosts, a fear of high spaces, you name it. Cyte, once again, is the Greek for kaitos, which means cell or container. Metri is classical Greek from metria or metron, which means to measure. Telemetry, I'm sure there's other metries we could think of. Erythro is Greek for erythros, which means red. Pan means pan, and it means all. Hellenic is also a word that means Greek. So if you heard pan-Hellenic, that would mean all Greeks, encompassing all Greeks. Pandemic, that would be an illness that's encompassing a wide range of people. Pancytopenia, there we go again. There we're using cyte and pan, and that brings us to penia, which is Greek for poverty or need. So pancytopenia, which would mean you're deficient in types, in certain cell types. Acro, like Acropolis, is Greek for acros, at the point, end, or top. Can you think of any words with acro? Always what comes to my mind is acromegaly or acrocyanosis. Good, Megan, I'm going to talk about acrobat. That's wonderful. Anyway, acrocyanosis is when the tips of your fingers or toes turn blue. So you see acro means tip. So whenever you're doing dictation and you're listening to audio files, try to come back to some of these roots to see if they help you figure out which word they're saying. Cyano is modern Latin from the classical Greek kyanos, the color blue. Ergo is Greek for ergon or work, and you've all had that part of your course material that tells you how to sit correctly while you're transcribing. And what is that word? Anyone? Ergonomic and ergonomics, very well done. Tele is classical Greek for far off. So when you're on the telemetry unit, okay, they're taking measurements of your heart function or whatever else, and telemetry is tele for far off and metry for measuring. And so you're in your bed, but all your vital signs are being watched by the nursing station through telemetry. Agora is Greek for an assembly or assembly place, marketplace, or a large space. So if you are an agoraphobic, what does that mean? Anyone? You have a fear of crowds. Very good. Outside spaces from sunshine. Afraid of outdoors from Karen. Well done, everyone. Well done. Okay, demos is Greek for the people. And pandemo means Greek. It's from late Latin pandemus, the Greek pandemos. And when you take pan and demos, you get the people. Okay, here we go. What do these words mean? We've touched on some of these already. Phagocyte, cytometry, cytometry, cyte comes from the word cell. Metry is cell measuring, measurement of a cell. Phagocyte is an eating cell, a cell that eats, like white blood cells eat bacteria. Cyanophobia, does anybody remember what cyano means? Like I said, we could have a fear of anything. So cyanophobia, oh, what is this? Wait, I just found this out. Megan says, not to be confused with a fear of fuzzy sweaters. Oh my gosh, Benita said fear of blue. Very well done, very well done. Everybody that said blue. Okay, good. How about erythrocyte? Red cell, red blood cell. Excellent, well done. Pancytopenia. Now there we've got 3 of them put together, which means pan means okay, low cell volume, very good. Penia means decreased, cyte means cell, and pan means all. When I look this up, it could mean your red cells, your white cells, and your platelets are all decreased. How about erythrophobia? I guess if we're afraid of blue, we can be afraid of red. Very good. Acrocyanosis, I already gave that one away. But again, cyano is blue, acro is the tip or the high part, and osis is condition, but we didn't mention that, but that's what that means. Acrophobia, fear of heights. Well done. Ergophobia, this is a good one. How many people tell their kids, yes, they're afraid of work? Good job. Osteopenia. We didn't talk about osteo, but I think most of us probably know what that means. Bones, very good, or not enough bone. Osteopenia, the destruction or deficiency of bone material, or probably calcium. Telemetry, we spoke about monitoring people's cardiac activity, because metry is measure and tele means far away. So they can see what's going on with you in your hospital room, even if they are at the nurse's station. Macrocyte, good. I love it. Everybody's ready. Ergonometry would be the measurement of working, the measurement of how you work, or study of. Metry would be measurement, and ergo is work. Agoraphobia, fear of crowds, and pandemic means widespread. I'm a bit ahead of you. But now, acrobat was mentioned earlier. Acrobat, this is a good one. The meaning is that bat comes from benign. I'm not Greek, so I apologize if I mispronounce anything. It's Greek for to walk. Acro comes from acros, meaning highest point. Therefore, acrobat is a reference to the classic and possibly first trick perfected by these artists, known as tightrope walking. I thought that was fun. Okay. Here we go again. You know how when they're dictating, and the dictators we love say adduction or abduction? Well, sometimes when listening to audio files, you're not sure whether they're talking about abduct or adduct. Maybe knowing what they mean will help. So ab, ab, abs, and mean apart or away from. And they're part of the words abduct, abnormal, and abduction. You think if someone is abducted, they're taken away from their family. AD for adduct, adduction, and admission means toward. So if you're admitted to a theater, you're going in towards the stage. Now here on this first slide, you can see hip abduction. They're moving the leg away from the center of the body. On the right-hand side, you can see hip adduction. They're moving the leg toward the center of the body. In the middle Oftentimes a dictator will say that he can adduct his leg 10 degrees, 45 degrees. Abduct, and this will give you an idea. See, that's so hard to do. This will give you an idea of what they're talking about when they mention that. There is 0-degree abduction, 10-degree, and anything between 10 and 45. If they say they have 35 degrees of abduction, that's what it would look like. So abduction, remember, taken away from your home, moving away from the body's midline. Adduction, moving toward the body, toward its midline. Whoops. Muscles used in hip abduction and adduction are the gluteus medius. Gluteus comes from the Greek glautos, meaning buttocks. The word medius is Latin for middle. Gluteus minimus, well, we know what gluteus means, and minimus is Latin for the smallest. So they're talking about the smallest muscle in the buttocks. Tensor fascia lata, I should not have capitalized the T because it's lowercase unless it's starting a sentence. The word tensor comes from the Latin verb tendere, meaning to stretch. Fascia is the Latin term for band. The word latae is the genitive form of Latin, meaning lata, which means side. So that is a side muscle that's like a band that stretches. Now, sartorius comes from the Latin term sartor, meaning tailor. I couldn't find a picture of an ancient Greek tailor or an ancient Latin tailor, so I found this little man here, and I know he's Greek because of that hat he's wearing. The tailors of old used to sit cross-legged as they sewed clothing. So the sartorius muscles have to do with crossing your legs. The adductor muscle, derived from the Latin ad, meaning toward, and ducere, meaning to lead or to draw. Any of the muscles that draw a part of the body toward its midline or toward the axis of an extremity, particularly three powerful muscles of the human thigh, which are adductor longus, brevis, and magnus. Longus is the Latin for long. It's used when there is a similar muscle that has the same name but is shorter, so they know which one they're referring to. Brevis is Latin for short and is typically used when there is a similar muscle that has the same name but is longer. And magnus is Latin for large and is used to designate the largest muscle in the whole group of similar muscles. Now, if anybody's had a chance to get their handout, I've never done that before. Were you all able to get the handout? Oh, how cool. This is exciting because now we can do this. All right, good. And so without even having looked up some of these words, do you think you might be able to guess what they mean? Well, we see phobia is down here. We already know that one. Let's start at the top. Oh, Helen didn't get it. Well, we'll talk about that. When you register, there was a Dropbox, and I can help you get the handout later, Helen. Okay, so let's talk about the first one, photo. Any ideas which is the answer? To see or light? Light, okay. So we'll put that down. We think it's light, and that is number J, letter J. Okay, how about spear, spiritus? Oh, Karen doesn't have a handout either. Okay, breath. Okay, so number 2, spirometry. Okay, that's one of those tests that you use. I will show you your handout before we're done with the webinar. Okay, so if you think of spirometry, spirometer, it's a respiratory test that's a breathing, so you can see how that is used. So spear for breath is letter R. Okay, how about logo? Word. Very good. Think of the logo at the top of your page. It's words. Graph, straight or right. So telegraphy, echocardiograph, we're going to have to look that one up to see. But I'm pretty sure, yes, it is right. Bio, oops, I forgot, vert or vers. So you think of vertical. Is there a hint there? And then there's vertigo. So interesting. It looks like it might be a couple of those. We'll have to see. Very good, everybody. Thank you for participating. I appreciate it. Bio, we all know that one. Yeah, life. Port. Carry. Transport. Very good. See how these work together? Okay, AUD, odd. To hear or listen. So auditory canal, audiogram, very good. Okay, then we have vid and viz, to see. Okay, what are some words with VIS that have to do with seeing? Vision, yes, Megan, Bonita, Jerry, vision. Megan, visor. Joanne, visual, I understand. Good. See, and video, Bonita, very good how we can learn how all these work together. Okay, sci. Is that like sci-fi? I didn't have a chance to look that one up. I do have the answer key. Study. Some of these are sort of close. We'll have to see. Aqua. Aqua. My Italian friend used to know acqua, sciacqua, lucia, sapone. It had to do with water. Soapy water, clean water. Very good. Terra, terracotta, terra firma. Very good. Land. Okay, R-E-C-T, rect. Straight, straight like Homo erectus. Could be. Wonder what that has to do with rectum, but it must not. We'll have to check that out. Phobia, we all know. I have a webinar phobia. Fear, exactly. Tract, here's a good one, tract. To pool, okay. Astro, so there is a tumor, very good, called an astrocytoma because it is star-shaped. So astrocyte, see, cell, star, and oma, tumor. Okay, then we have seed and seed. To concede, war, go, seed, war or fight. This is interesting. Reseed, another one. So I think it must mean go. Bell or belly. You know, we still haven't got burst or break, have we? Oh, I see it. It's coming up. But back to belly, what do we think about that? War? We're going to have to see. I'm trying to think of words that go with that. Anybody have any ideas? That'll be a good one to research when the webinar is over. Antebellum. Wonderful. Perfect. And bellicose. You guys are good. Okay. Rupt. We talked about that. Rupture. Yep. Break. Or erupt. And then chron is time. There you go. Chronos. I know that's a Greek word. It probably comes from that. I think there's an island of Chronos. So let's get to the answer key. Chronological. Wonderful. So you guys are all using it. You're already using it together. Okay, I have to click into one place to get my, and here's the answer key. So if anyone's got their hand out correct, What is F on the handout? Because that's what belly is. War. So it is war. Interesting. Did we have another one we were wondering about? We might be good. Okay. So here he is, the man of the hour, bringing it all together, philosophy, science, and medicine. Hippocrates. He lived from 460 to 377 BC. Oh, thanks, Benita. Rebellion for war. Wonderful. Hippocrates was a Greek physician traditionally regarded as the father of Western medicine. His name is associated with the medical profession's Hippocratic Oath from his attachment to a body of ancient Greek medical writings, probably none of which was written by him. Isn't that interesting? But doctors still take the Hippocratic Oath today. Even if he didn't write those things, he is credited with establishing the foundations of scientific medicine. He and his followers worked to distinguish medicine from superstition. Really, that's what they used to all think. You know, some god frowned on you and now you're in big trouble. But he's distinguishing that. And magic, he's by basing treatment of illnesses with close observation and rational deduction. Hippocrates taught that diseases had natural causes and they could sometimes be cured by natural means. And you can see in the bottom left-hand corner there, Hippocrates, whatever, however they would spell it. Okay, I want to thank you for visiting with me today. Some of the resources I use to find these words and their meanings and how muscles work are listed above. Thank you, Sunshine. One really good one is that visible body link, you see. When you go there, you will actually be, I tried to put it in this presentation, but I couldn't get it to go. It's a video, and it will show you body parts actually moving and functioning, visible body. Ducksters is a really good history of ancient Greece place. Entomon line tells you the meanings and where words come from. Okay, Marcia, are the slides from this presentation? Oh, thanks, Benita. Hold on, let me read some of the questions. Oh, I'm glad it was fun. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Marcia says, are the slides from the presentation? Not by email, but you can go into the forum and find webinars and review them, Marcia. It's recorded. Benita had lots of fun. Thank you. Vivian, very interesting. Thank you. It's new for me. Really interesting. Well, wonderful. And I have one more thing to say before everybody leaves. And that's thank you for attending. Aphoristo is Greek for thank you, and gracias tibi is Latin for thank you. So you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, everybody take care. Hasta la vista. Oh, glad you asked, Sandra. Let me go to the first slide. Zip, 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 zip. Oh, I'm glad I didn't shut down. There it is. Can you see? This is how you find the handout. I'll wait while you read. Anybody? Oh, Helen, are you still here? I don't know who else needed the handout, but this is how you get to it. Okay, Helen, do you see? This is how you find the handout. That's just for that list of words that we went over. Okay, bye, Sandra. You have a great day, too. Helen, if you're using this information, let me know when you're done. Oh, hi, you're welcome, Karen. No problem. Glad to see you here. Helen, if you like, I could email this screenshot to you for you to be able to find the handout. Just let me know. You could type in the chat box. Okay, thank you. All right, everyone, I'm going to log out now. Helen, I'll be sending this to you at your email. Everyone have a good day. Thanks for coming. Bye.